All right. So, aloha and welcome everybody to the Astrology of 2026. My name is Taylor Norris, and I am a very passionate astrologer and Reiki practitioner. And in today's presentation, we are going to focus on the energies of the beginning of 2026. Very quickly, I became aware. I was like, oh, I can do for New Year, new energy. We'll look at the astrology of the year. Probably too not too much to talk about. And then when I started kind of unpacking and unfolding what are all the major transits, it became very obvious to me that that was a very overly ambitious intention. So we will get to what we get to today. And I am going to be teaching a class on January 20th where we continue the astrology of this year and also do a Reiki journey activation that specifically is for this entire year and all of the transits. So, without further ado, I'm going to request to share my screen, and hopefully that works because I have prepared some slides to help organize the material. I find that in teaching astrology, slides are very, very helpful. So let me try and share screen again. All right. Well, hopefully you all can see that. And I am specifically great. Thanks, Amanda, for that confirmation, teamwork. Um, so I'm specifically an intuitive astrologer. I look at everything astrologically with Reiki activated and my intuition activated. And I'm also a galactic astrologer. So I look at not only the planets in their signs, in their houses, in their aspects, their relationships and geometries to one another, but I also add the additional layer of looking at star alignments so that we can begin tuning in and integrating energies beyond just our solar system. So most astrology is focused just on our solar system, but in galactic astrology, we're actually looking at other star systems and how the planets in our solar system are helping us incorporate these really beautiful higher frequency stellar energies. So that is a little bit about galactic astrology. And I'm also a medical astrologer. So I'm very, very interested in how do the astrological energies, like how do we actually physically embody them? How does that work? So I will be including a few medical astrology tidbits here and there in this presentation. So today's plan to share some of the overarching themes for the year, the bigger picture energies, and full disclosure, how I did this is that in a very Gemini way, I had to go through every single big transit of the year, lay it all out, look at all of it, and then reflect on, okay, what are actually the patterns? This is the Sagittarius looking for the bigger picture, the bigger meaning. What are the themes? So I will be sharing those with you. As time allows, we will look at the major astrological highlights of 2026, focusing on the first part of the year and provide you with some key dates of major transits to be aware of. And how I practice astrology is that it's co-creational. It's not planets and stars doing things to us. When we are on a consciousness evolution path, when we're on a spiritual path, trying to become more conscious, become more aware, we can co-create with these energies. It's not a victim kind of a relationship. It's like, how do we understand what these patterns and cycles are so we can be active agents in co-creating with them. We are in communication with the planets. Astrology is a language of meaning. So helping us understand what are the galactic and cosmos and solar system energies, the planets, what are they speaking to us? And when we listen, when we open and listen, we can receive those messages and we can communicate back to them and express these different energies in conscious ways, in hopefully also higher frequency empowered ways. Another intention of this plan today is to increase your understanding of the language of astrology. So I'm sure some of you are brand new, and congratulations for being courageous to be here. My intention always when I share an astrology update is to help you start beginning to read this language because it is a language of meaning and it is a universal language of meaning. So it's something that can be learned by anyone on planet Earth. And it is this co-creational language, as I was just sharing, where we are understanding what is being cosmically communicated and transmitted. And then hopefully also we are communicating back as well. So it's a universal language in many different ways. I also, to help us with the bigger picture, okay, like what, seriously now, like what do we need to know? I did pull a card for like a 6 month forecast, focusing on the first part of the year that I think probably will be important all year long too. And I used the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel, and I will share that card towards the end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop myself when we have like 10 to 15 minutes to go and just answer any questions you may have. So if you have questions, please feel free to write them down, and there will be some time at the end to answer any questions that come up. All right, so starting out with those overarching themes, we are closing out many different levels of cycles. Astrology is a study of cycles. So there's this about 36, 37-year cycle of Saturn and Neptune. The last time they were conjoined together, it's called a synodic cycle, was in 1989. So you can think back what in your life was initiating around 1989 that is now coming to a close, coming to a completion. We also have this longer cycle of the age of Pisces. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. This has to do with the precession of the equinox, so a much larger cycle of time. We're talking about multiple thousands of years long cycle, as well as shifting from the Kali Yuga into the Dwapara Yuga. And some of you that may be like, I don't know what she's talking about. That's okay. Some of you would be like, yeah, I know what that means. And that's also okay. And there's a lot of disagreement about when is the age of Aquarius starting? When is this next yuga starting? And I have studied it. I've looked into it a lot. I've heard a lot of other people talk about it. And what I can say is there is no agreement about exact dates because they are much larger cycles of time. And when we are in cycles of descending consciousness, which we have been in, we lose track of time and we lose track of the bigger cycles. It's part of the collective forgetting that humanity's been in. And hopefully, this time with this closure and new beginnings, we can remember and reclaim and hopefully not forget to the degree that we have forgotten in this particular cycle. So, coming back into this year, my advice would be to take the first about 6 weeks of 2026 to finish any needed releasing that you need to release, any additional completions. And this is really speaking to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's coming up in February 20th. And this is a cycle that has to do with manifesting dreams. It has to do with spiritual authority, spiritual inner authority specifically, and co-creating the dreams of your heart's desires for this collective birth of a new reality, of new earth, heaven on earth, the vision that we have for humanity going forward. So take this time, these first few weeks to really release and don't feel like you have to like initiate anything like right away. If you're good to go in the releasing, you're good to go. So don't overthink it. Some of you may have really been working on the releasing and feel pretty much complete. You may become aware of other places and spaces, some deeper levels and layers of release. And so to definitely follow your guidance with that. Starting new beginnings is also a huge theme this year. There's lots of fresh, alive energy. And this timing of those new beginnings is staggered throughout 2026. So we have lots of possible new beginnings. And, when's it going to happen for me? Don't know, can't tell you. So this is going to be dependent on your personal natal chart as well as your free will choice and your level of consciousness. This is something that I can look at in a natal astrology reading for you. You can also look at this in your own chart if you know how to read an astrology chart, and then another competent astrologer can help you unpack that as well if you want to know consciously, astrologically, when some of these new beginnings may click in for you. Another big theme is new earth, heaven on earth taking form, however you like to think about this, but this new vision for earth and humanity. We've already been working on this. Everybody who's here, I know we all have had, different parts to play in this, but this is like next level, more in physicality, more fully manifested, more people on board, just more of that force towards helping support that vision be realized. So the question for you is, what is your unique part and contribution in that? We're not all here to do the same thing. So just to understand what's your part, and you may have had an idea about what that part is, and you may have been holding back and kind of waiting for right timing to do something. And this year may be your time to actually do it. Like the mass consciousness may actually be ready for what you have been working on or holding back on for a while. So this is very, very encouraging for those of us who have had to be patient. There's also an energy of divine masculine reset. We have so much Mars ruled Aries energy that is coming through Saturn and Neptune. So there's this collective invitation to move beyond the wounded masculine, the patriarchy, and to bring forward the sacred masculine. And I am sure all of us here are really ready for that. And, just to say this may not be immediate, probably not going to be. This is something we're working towards over a larger, longer period of time. The entire Saturn and Aries period, which will kick off February 13th of this year through April of 2028. So Saturn's going to be really helping us bring forward the sacred masculine. And we may see a lot of like the unhealthy masculine before that in order to help resolve and heal that and bring that sacred masculine forward. And then Neptune is also going to be encouraging this for Neptune in Aries period, which is from January 26th of this year through May 21st of 2038. So Neptune's orbital period is much slower, much longer than Saturn. And so Neptune is really, it's like a more of a generational energy. So we have some years, some time to really get this right. And again, there's a need to be patient about the timing and the realization of that, but holding that vision of the sacred masculine on this planet. Oh my goodness, like how wonderful would that be? Another big theme this year, galactivation. I am personally very, very excited about this. I know many of us are, that everything that appears to be out there, beyond the Earth, beyond the solar system, out there, up there, becoming more normal, more accessible, more, dare I say, mainstream, not as weird, much more interest and acceptability of, the galactic, the cosmos, the universe, other planets, other stars, just a real interest in this. And, I've seen evidence of this in all different places that this is slowly but surely becoming a lot more normal. And so I think this is specifically with Pluto in Aquarius, which we have until 2044, and also Uranus and Gemini that is beginning this year. We had a taste of it last year, but it will be there for the next several years. With those energies too comes this big theme of technology. This is very obvious, but I had to say it. Keywords here that I would suggest: discernment and intentionality with technology. There is a risk that we as a collective humanity become increasingly mental, fragmented, externalized, disconnected from each other, disconnected from our bodies, and disconnected from our heart. So the invitation here is to claim your own full capacity and your power from within. This is Pluto in Aquarius, that power from within. And we are going to have a lot of heart wisdom support, thankfully, coming through this year as well. So with all that technology and galactivation and all of this, there is a need to stay grounded. This is very, very important. What has worked may no longer work. You may need more. You may need different ways to do this. And so there will be a learning curve with this. We do have some transitional help from Jupiter in Cancer until June 30th of this year, helping us stay grounded, connected to the earth, connected to the moon, connected to the cycles. And then briefly, Chiron in Taurus from June 19th through September 17th will also help us stay grounded, connected to the earth. However, about mid-year, the nodes of the moon are going to change sign from being in Pisces and Virgo, which are earth and water signs. They will switch into Aquarius and Leo, which are air and fire signs on July 26th. And at that time, around that time, we're going to have lots of fast fire energy that's being literally encouraged by all of the air energy to be bigger, brighter, bolder, more, fast, speed. And so this next theme of releasing fear of missing out, FOMO, about trying to keep up, you're not going to be able to. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to. And I don't think it's going to be healthy to either for our nervous systems. There's a learning curve within our nervous systems to learn how to navigate and negotiate these energies that are coming in. So to have the courage to go at your own ever evolving pace and to really honor this within yourself, in your life, your community, your relationships, all of it. We also have our regularly scheduled retrograde periods that invite us to slow down and integrate. So very helpful to take note of those retrogrades and to actually slow down during those times. That's something I will cover in the longer Astrology of 2026 class. And it's something too that I will cover in my YouTube updates about the astrology, when are those retrogrades, which planets, and so on. Jupiter in Leo and the South Node in Leo will be activating our heart energy. Extremely helpful here, inviting us to open to greater heart wisdom, expansion, ancient mastery, calling forth the mastery from our multidimensional self, past lives, other lifetimes, really to understand the power of our heart. And all of this Leo energy too is inviting creativity, bold creativity, finding your style, expressing your unique style, your flair. This is very helpful towards encouraging you to take your unique part, your unique role in this greater vision for humanity and the earth. So beautiful creative energies. This is also a big year for health. Every year is a big year for health. I would argue, as long as you're alive, health is very important. Without health, nothing else can happen. And this is astrologically communicated by the nodes of the moon in Pisces and Virgo until July 26th. These are the two zodiac signs most linked to health, medicine, healing. Pisces is the more spiritual side of healing. Virgo is the more technical, physical side of healing. But together, they really are health and healing in the body and medicine and healing modalities in general. So the first half of the year, we definitely have a concentration on health and well-being. And we also have two eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. Virgo will be March 3rd. This is a total lunar eclipse. And we have an eclipse in Pisces on August 26th. So those are definitely important dates with regard to health and healing. Medical astrology tip here is that inflammation and autoimmune issues are likely to be showing up a lot because we have Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries, and that's like too much Mars. That can be too much Mars. That can also be not enough Mars or not enough heat, not enough fire with Saturn in Aries, suppressing that fire of Aries. Nervous system issues coming through Pluto and Aquarius, also coming through Uranus in Gemini. The electrical body, both of those astrology transits would be contributing to, I think, much more understanding of how the nervous system works, how our electrical body works, and, issues in regulating those healthfully. Immune and digestive systems are really coming through the nodes of the moon in Pisces and Virgo. And then when we have Jupiter in Leo and South Node in Leo, this will emphasize the heart and the circulation too. I didn't put that in there, but Aquarius is the sign having to do with circulation. Pluto is in Aquarius, and the north node of the moon will be in Aquarius. So the whole, heart and circulation are involved there. So, kind of big overarching theme here is that there is an unstoppable rise in consciousness that is happening everywhere, even when it appears to not be happening. That is important for all of us to believe in this and trust in this process, to do your part, know that it matters no matter how seemingly small, invisible, or quiet that is taking place, and when in doubt, to follow the direction of your heart, follow what brings you joy and what lights you up. So, if you got nothing else from this presentation, this would be a very good takeaway uh, to understand about next year. That literally there is no stopping this rise in consciousness. It is happening whether we like it or not. And I think everybody here is, clapping and excited that this rise is occurring and it's time. And we've been patient or not so patiently awaiting this to happen. And it really feels like this is the time we are each here for a reason. We came for what is underway and what is to come in the future to be active, empowered, co-creative agents in what we wish to see as a collective Earth. So it is very, very exciting. And to keep this in mind when things may be dark or things may appear to not be going in this direction or in the correct direction, to understand, to trust, to believe that this is happening, and to not believe and like be complacent, do nothing, to just keep turning it inward and be like, what is my part? What can I contribute? And even if that's something really, really tiny, to understand that it actually really, really matters. Like we each are needed to contribute to this. And your heart knows exactly what to do. So silence that mind, the monkey mind, and listen to your heart. All right, so I'm going to start sharing some astrology charts, and don't be, overwhelmed by this if you have no idea how to read an astrology chart. I didn't either. When I started out, I was like, I don't get any of this. So that is really okay. Um, yeah, but it is good to start exposing yourself to what it actually looks like. So this is starting immediately, just in a few days from the time of recording this, January 6th, 7th, and 9th. We have the Venus, Sun, and Mars all in alignment with the stars of Lyra. And this is happening 1, 2, 3 here. So Venus will be conjunct the Sun first at 16 degrees and 22 minutes of Capricorn. And I've included the arrows here so you can see like where is this actually happening? Why am I saying what I'm saying? This is what's called a Venus cazimi. When a planet is exactly conjunct the Sun, we call it in astrology cazimi. And this is a moment of divine feminine reset. Venus represents that divine feminine, the sacred feminine, and she is coming into the heart of the sun. She's actually furthest from the earth at this time, on the opposite side of the sun from the earth. It's called an exterior conjunction. And this is happening on January 6th. And we have this moment of like a mini graduation. So the last time this happened was January 8th of 2022. So you can think back what was happening around that time in your life, what new impulse was being generated within you, and to understand this is a mini cycle that is completing for you, that it's a next spiral in how your divine feminine energy may be expressing at this time for these next 4 years. This is part of a 4-year cycle. And when Venus joins the sun, this is called Venus cazimi. It's also called Venus star point. So that's what I have here, because Venus in her beautiful cycle, which is infinitely fascinating, and I don't have time to get into it, she makes these cazimis or these star points in 5 different zodiac signs, and it makes a star. It is just so incredible. Venus is our planet of beauty, and like how she moves, her orbit, everything. It is actually beautiful and definitely holds that divine proportion to it. My headphone just fell out. It's raining here in Hawaii, and so I have them in so I'm not too distracted by the sound. Okay, so that's happening first, and then Venus will conjoin Mars on the 7th, and that is, you can see here in the chart, that's happening at 8 degrees Capricorn and 9 minutes. Mars is our masculine energy. It's that get up and go, fiery motivation, ambition, energy. And when they come together, Venus and Mars, this is the lovers, but it's also that inner feminine, inner masculine energy. How can they be in balance? How can they be in harmony, starting this new cycle of greater balance and greater harmony within yourself of those two parts and those energies within yourself. And then the sun will catch up to Mars, and there will be Mars conjunct the sun. This is called a Mars cazimi, our divine masculine reset happening January 9th. And I have written in here the last time this happened was November 18th, 2023 at 25 degrees Scorpio and 36 minutes. So again, you can think back to November of 2023. What was initiating? What new impulse or desire or thing you were going to go after was initiating? And how has that come into manifestation? And what new impulse or desire or manifestation do you want to really go after and achieve and put in the hard work? Where is your drive taking you? All of this is happening in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. It's cardinal earth. So it's initiatory. It is boss energy. It is, wanting to make a real, practical, tangible difference with an eye to the long term. As an earth energy, it's also builder energy. It's interested in structures and systems and processes to really make a tangible, practical difference. It's an organizing energy too. So this is also, I'm realizing it's like the birth of those new system structures, institutions, ways of organizing ourselves that is going to help make this big adjustment, to support this huge rise in consciousness that we're co-creating. This is like light workers get organized, get as organized as all the other uh, less conscious energies are. So this can be really, really helpful. This is also the spirit of that collaboration, collaborating with like-minded others. And yeah, this is like serious. We're starting the year seriously with like, let's do the work, a desire to do the work and actually make it happen and contribute to this higher vision of humanity. Capricorn is also the elder. It's an elder energy. It's a mastery energy. It's the energy of the grandmothers too, that ancient wisdom of the feminine in the earth of, yeah, the elder feminine energy. It can be like a little witchy too. This is, yeah, that the elder witchy wise woman, medicine woman type of an energy is part of Capricorn's system. Capricorn's symbolism, as well as like top-down hierarchical structures and systems and things like that, which we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of the top-down systems and structures and hierarchies, but this is like, how can we do things differently? Like we need to do things differently, and we have support in doing that. Bringing in Lyra, these stars of Lyra, these are like the background stellar energies. Vega, which is the alpha star in Lyra, Sheliak, another beautiful star in Lyra, the Lyra Ring Nebula. These stars, Lyra constellation, has to do with our ancient ancestors, our galactic ancestors, the ones who were here at the very beginning of our galaxy and had, like a more humanoid type of form, a similar constitution to, the humans that we have now. It's said to be the template for the human type of a body within our galaxy. So we're not only being informed by our earth ancestors and earth ancestral wisdom here as we build these new structures, but there's also an opportunity to be informed by our most ancient galactic ancestors within the Milky Way galaxy as well. So this is, yeah, really, really beautiful supportive energy here, beginning of January. January 2 is relatively quiet looking at the year as a whole. We'll see in a moment. February is much more active. At the end of January, however, on the 26th, Neptune will move into Aries. So we had a preview of this last year from March 30th until, let me see, October 22nd of last year. So that was our preview. That was our tester. That was the teaser. That was the rehearsal of what this longer Neptune and Aries cycle will be about. And as I said, that's about a 14-year cycle until 2038 or something like that. Neptune starts moving into Taurus. So this is, yeah, until then, Neptune's at the very end of the zodiac, also supporting that releasing, purging, letting go, because this is when some of the new beginnings energy starts clicking in. January 26th, Neptune and Aries. Okay. Spiritual empowerment. Neptune is a planet that has to do with spiritual, all things divine, your inner spiritual guidance, your connection. It's yeah, very mystical healing planet. Has to do with medicine as well. So we're likely to see lots of different updates and changes in medicine at this time. And here is the glyph for Aries. This is the new spiritual paths, new spiritual connections. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and this is the glyph of Neptune as well. So this is, yeah, fiery, feisty energy that wants the new, fresh, alive. Anything that feels stale or outdated is gotta go. Like it's time to let it go and really hold space and feel empowered to create the new. So very, very encouraging here. Neptune entering Aries. I will talk about the star alignment to Skiat in a moment here, but when Neptune enters Aries, it's activating the star Skiat in Pegasus, which is the galactic horse. It is the horse of Hercules. It is a beautiful constellation, and I'll show you all that in a moment. February 3rd is another day to be aware of. This is Uranus changing direction, stationing direct. It has been retrograde since September of last year at 1 degree of Gemini, 27 minutes, and it was conjoining the stars of the Pleiades. February 3rd, since then, we've had this inner genius revolutionary energy to integrate within ourselves. What needs to be like blown up, exploded, broken down, rebelled against within ourselves? That we've been in this inward process of that. And Uranus changing direction, there is that sense of, okay, forward motion. Let's like put that into action. Let's actually bring that out into the world. Medical astrology tip here is that February 3rd is not the day to have surgery if you can avoid it. February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, if you can avoid it or a loved one can avoid it. Uranus is the planet of unexpected, sudden disruptions, those kinds of things. And that's not exactly the environment that you want to have when you are going in for a procedure. So to keep that in mind, obviously emergencies happen. We can't always avoid that, but this is when Uranus changes direction, you want to avoid surgery if possible. Um, so yeah, it's stationing direct on February 3rd, conjunct Algol star and Perseus constellation. And here on screen, I have the constellation Perseus. This is the warrior prince with his sword holding the head of Medusa, the basically empowered dark feminine witchy energy that was seen to be problematic in the mythology and the stories of the Romans and the Greeks. And Perseus, of course, slayed Medusa, and then her head was used as a weapon to stun the sea monster, Cetus the whale. So not the greatest story, but this is a sense of Uranus is like activating that ancient dark feminine life source energy within all of us. And um, Yeah, this is also a time with Uranus and Taurus to reconsider values, priorities, what really matters to you. And again, what does your wild feminine inner being need? Is there sacred rage to be transmuted and expressed? Is there rebellion to be listened to and consciously responded to? What is rising within you? This is also like Shakti Kundalini awakening type of an energy too. So many, many different possibilities. Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. So it's kind of hard to talk about and predict what will happen here. But just to know that like anything is possible type of an energy greets us at the beginning of February. And it's also future oriented. It's galactic. It's awakening. It's becoming conscious. It's that sudden Kundalini type of an awakening moment. So those are all possibilities as well. And this is actually going to strengthen what's coming later in February with the Aquarius eclipse. So February 13th, Saturn is entering Aries. You can see it right here. So around this time, Saturn and Neptune are operationally conjunct in Aries. So we're feeling that end of the cycle, the end of the 36-year cycle, but also that new beginning starting to rise and starting to become more visible, like the light of the fire that you can actually see and perceive. So those new beginnings are, coming into focus. The speed is engaging, the kind of feeling of a fast movement starting to happen. And this is an energy we had a preview. Okay, what Saturn in Aries like last year from May 24th until September 1st of last year. This was our preview of Saturn in Aries. And as I said at the beginning, this will be an energy we're working with for the next 2.5 to 3 years. So lots of learning around the sacred masculine energy, the healthy masculine. This is our first eclipse, the annular solar eclipse in Aquarius. You can see in the chart here, this is happening at 28 degrees 49 minutes. And it is like a very powerful new moon that is occurring. And so we have this community, grassroots, eye to the future Aquarian energy, gathering with like-minded, like-hearted others. What new communities and organizations and affiliations feel really good and resonant for you? There is an impulse to gather and, join and connect with others who feel aligned with the vision that you have, the bigger vision. This is visionary, expansive, future-oriented energy, Aquarius. And in terms of, looking back at previous cycles, there was a very similar eclipse February 6th of 2008. This was an annular solar eclipse at 17 degrees Aquarius, 50 minutes. So you can think back to February 2008. What was alive for you? What was initiating? In my own life, I had just joined a sorority. I know, I was in a sorority. They were the notorious partiers, wild, wild sorority. Um, and so I had just joined this new group that felt, like resonant with this new group. And obviously don't plan on joining that type of group at this time, but it was funny to see back in the chronology of my life how, these similar patterns, this group consciousness, we really are always on a spiral trajectory. The last eclipse that we had in Aquarius was in February of 2018. So you can also think back to what was going on around that time for you. I was expressing that energy very differently. I was at a monastery and I had like a a bottom-up Kundalini awakening experience where I felt the electricity at the base of my spine, and it actually made it so that I had to be in bed for a few days. Like I couldn't do anything. It was very, very powerful. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. And so there is that sense of Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, remembering Uranus had just changed direction at the beginning of the month. So this can be unexpected. This is galactic. This is a lot of different things. And it's also in alignment to the heart of the serpent in Hydra constellation. This is called Alphard, this particular star. And what's interesting here too, this is marking our change from the year of the snake in Chinese astrology to the year of the fire horse. And that this eclipse is actually aligned with the heart of the snake. um, is really just feels very magical. The snake representing the goddess and the divine feminine. And this particular star is loaded with so much mystery. I still don't have it figured out. And it's actually very, very well configured in my chart. It's mystery. It is deeply spiritual and mystical and powerful with such emotional intensity. And I think also the promise of emotional mastery as well with this star. So we're invited definitely to be more objective and to commune with our family of frequency at this time. So the last thing I wanted to talk about here for our presentation in terms of the charts is like I can't not talk about this. This is so huge. This is February 20th, Saturn Neptune conjunct at 0 degrees 45 minutes. And this is officially that moment of exactitude and perfection of this cycle that only occurs every 36 to 37 years. Saturn and Neptune come together. They were last together 1989. However, they do not come together at the very first degree of the zodiac very often at all. This is not like a regular thing. The last time this occurred was over 6,000 years ago. So this is really marking a new beginning for humanity. This is marking spiritual mastery, spiritual sovereignty. Neptune is that spiritual planet. Saturn is mastery, inner authority, going within, following your heart, following your passion, following your motivation. It's also taking Neptune, the world of dreams and imagination and non-physical reality and bringing it into form, bringing it into practicality. Saturn, bringing it into systems and structures and processes and, making it real, making it tangible. So this is so creative. This is so powerful. This is so like anything is possible, creative new beginnings. And yeah, this is so much about making our dreams come true. And we can look in this chart too. The ruler of Aries zodiac sign is Mars, our divine masculine planet. And Mars will be in Aquarius at the time of this conjunction. So that is speaking to this future vision, community, collaboration, grassroots up, coming together in circles of empowered leaders rather than top-down structures, elite systems, hierarchies, and those kinds of things. This is like everybody's included, everybody's welcome, everybody has a voice, has something to share. Really thinking about the whole, not just, serving some kind of elite group of people. But yeah, this is so exciting. So February 20th, big, big, powerful, important day. And this is the Pegasus constellation I was talking about, where Saturn and Neptune are making alignments to Skiat star. And this is, curiously, it's the horse, and it's the year of the fire horse next year. So echoing those themes of speed and movement and drive and the power and the beauty and the wisdom of the horse also coming through here, the galactic horses as well as our beautiful earthly horses. So things picking up around this time speed wise. Now I'm going to flip through some slides and just get to because I definitely plan too much to talk about even for this presentation. Just to say, March 20th through May 6th of this year, we have 48 days when all our planets are direct. So there's no Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Mars, any of the outer planets. Everything's direct. This is our game on. This is speed. This is fast. This is getting things done. And so to know that we do have this most blessed period here at this time. The oracle card that I pulled, with regard to the 6 month kind of forecast, 2026 bigger picture forecast was, wow, like so perfect. Big picture thinking. This is from the Starseed Oracle. This is the card here. This is Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. So Uranus and Gemini is actually literally aligning with the stars of the Pleiades. So this is talking about the possibility for galactic contact and the Pleiadians and really being in greater touch with our future self. It's also, holding that vision that so many of us have held for, so many years, so many lifetimes, so many experiences that we could really be seeing that coming true and being those active, sovereign, co-creative agents of the vision that feels really aligned for us. So I love these questions. How are you being called to step up and lead? Saturn, Neptune, and Aries is about that leadership, the leadership that we each have within ourselves, uniquely expressed in each of us. What new ideas or creations are you being called to pursue? Now is the time. Those creations and ideas are needed and will contribute to this vision. So this is also a card that's saying, we have lots of Pleiadian and galactic support, unseen, invisible support for that which is birthing and being created through each of us. So yeah, this just for it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. And I think, yeah, we're really being invited to be visionary and to dream big. And the sky is not the limit, like there is no limit to what can be created here. So I will pause here and open it up to questions